Today I'll be sharing about our journey with Dimension Software's Asset Intellect. So just quickly, who is Stanwell? So Stanwell Corporation, so we're a major provider of electricity and energy solutions to Queensland, the national electricity market and large energy users throughout Australia. We're creating a new lower carbon generation portfolio that's complemented by energy storage. We're driving the development of a renewable hydrogen export industry in central Queensland, and we're keeping the lights on as the state's energy industry transforms. As this energy transition takes place, we are ensuring our current generating assets remain safe, reliable, flexible, and as efficient as possible. A continual search for and adoption of value-adding technologies is recognised as a supporting enabler for our values, which is we care, we adapt, and we deliver. So real-time data, as we're talking a lot about here, it's a key enabler for safe, efficient, and reliable operation. No doubt something that everyone in industrial process is fully accustomed to. Stanwell has been a significant user of the PI system for over a decade. I think it was around 2009 that the PI system first came into the organisation. We use it in three main ways here. We have advanced calculations to identify and alert performance degradation. These were developed by a lot of some of our key users within the business. Process safety compliance KPIs, which we monitor closely. And we also use the PI system for environmental monitoring and compliance. So at the beginning of 2020, we embarked on a project to replace an aging shift log system at one of our sites and also provide a significant uplift for a similar system at another site. Stanwell needed a technology that could deliver our regulatory obligations, that integrated with our core business systems, and most importantly, ease of use for our people. There are numerous market offerings in this space, all with class-leading capabilities. So why did we choose Asset Intellect? We had previously looked at Asset Intellect as a capability to integrate and centralise our disparate data systems into a common platform, something that's been talked about a lot here today, actually. Upon reviewing offerings for our new digital shift log, this was advertised as a capability of Asset Intellect, something that I wasn't aware of in the past. Asset Intellect seamlessly integrates with PI, which is considered one of Stanwell's core business systems. So GTS Group is a real-time technology partner of Stanwell. Having local capability with the chosen technology was very important, as the digital shift log requires a high degree of uptime for our operational sites. GTS Group provided resourcing alongside Dimension Software to implement the project on time and within budget. Adding Asset Intellect to our current 24/7 GTS support agreement was straightforward, maintaining a simplified and common support framework. So this is a bit of a screenshot of what our shift log looks like. So for those of you who are users of common shift logs such as J5, you'll notice probably some similarities there. We can see things, a typical grid view where we have columns that are split out by units and systems and categories and messages and statuses of the logs, and most importantly, who'd put in these various entries. One of the things I'd like to point your attention to is on the left-hand column of the shift log there, you can see some icons there. They're actually like little settings or gear icons. They are actually automatic log entries that are generated by PI event frames. So everything is configured within PI System Explorer, and then once deployed, they are just monitored as the data changes. These are then implemented and can be edited by the person on shift. We also have a routine checklist. So as part of the shift log, we any panel operator or process technicians, as they're referred to within Stanwell, one of the first things that they do after the shift is handed over, they are required to look through all of the HMI screens to make sure that the unit that they're responsible for is set up in such a way that it is deployed safely and that it is operating to ideal conditions. As you can see here, we have a whole heap of sections where the operator reviews these settings within the HMI, and then they are recorded. So the intention here is to drive a behavior so that the person can have a look through the screens and make sure that everything is set correctly. Yes, all of these settings could be brought forward automatically from Pi, but it defeats the purpose of giving some operational awareness to the person on the other end of the automation. All of these fields that you see before you are actually Pi AF attributes. With any digital shift log, you need to make sure that there's a summary that's produced at the end of the shift. So when it's handed over to the oncoming shift, that you have an accurate record of what took place during the shift, and also a state of the plant when it's handed over. So just a little snip there that you can see. So this has a similar look and feel to what Mark shared a little earlier. It's a PDF document that is produced, and then all of the shift handover documents are accessible just by the left-hand column that you can see there in front of us. So reports from previous shifts can be easily viewed. We can see on there the shift that was on, the unit they were responsible for, who the person was, and the current status of the shift, what the megawatt profile looked like over the shift, all of the main and significant drives of each particular unit, what status they're in, so whether they're running or not, or they actually turn a magenta color if they are unavailable as well, if they're under maintenance. So, and all of that is brought in automatically from Pi data. As we've also heard from other presenters today, we have links into Power BI reports. So this particular one here is linked to our plant outage planner. So we have a typical Gantt view where we can see what units have any sort of outages or output reductions throughout the day. So it's in a common place. I've got a little note there at the bottom there. It says view is asset contextual with PyAF. So even though that we're looking at the hierarchy on the left-hand side, we're at the top level of Stanwell, so we can see the entire Stanwell Corporation portfolio. If I was to click on a different unit within the portfolio, so say in this case, if I clicked on Unit 1 underneath Tarong Power Station, I would just see the view for Unit 1. So you can visualize how handy and easily accessible it is to find the right information for the person that is viewing the information that is relevant to the piece of equipment that they're responsible for. Same example here. So this is an overview of one of our fuel systems that's introducing pulverized fuel into the furnace. So you can see on the left-hand side here, we're looking at Unit 1, A mill. So if I was to click on B mill within the hierarchy, all of that data would change relevant to B mill. Something else that we have there, I think I've got it on the next slide. Yes. You can see that there it says documents and drawings. So we've actually got referenced relevant drawings within our electronic document and resource management system, where we can easily pull up drawings, process control sheets, and even on the right there, you can see that we have operating instructions. So as Mark was sharing with us earlier, trying to find these sorts of things can be really laborious, and especially if you haven't used a procedure in a long time, trying to remember where it is. All of this is contextual underneath the particular asset that you're looking at within the tree. One other thing that we've started to do of late is linking all the plant area strategies along with the assets as well. We've also got integration into our ERP system. So we use ABB Ellipse within Stanwell Corporation. So the top section there, you can see a filtered view of our shift log. And then underneath that, that is a direct integration with Ellipse that is showing us open work requests. So we can see the dates when they were raised, their current status, any details that are particular with that particular work requests and their priorities. One of the things that you can't see, but there's another column there that has a hyperlink that opens up Ellipse and takes you directly to that particular work request. So one of the things that is always a bit of a hassle, as you can see in one system, especially in a shift log, that has a reference to a work request or a work order, and then you need to open up that system, do a search for that particular work order and find it. What this does in Asset Intellect, this allows you just to click on a link and it takes you directly to that particular part within the ERP system. We also utilize the attribute editor function within Asset Intellect. So what this example that we have here is at Stanwell Power Station, just inland of Rockhampton. Fuel, coal specifically, is delivered from a mine out west, further west. And when it's brought in via trains, we used to have a system that was, there's no way of putting it better. It was just fully manualized, a lot of writing down on pieces of paper, things would get lost. Things would then loaded into databases and incorrect things would get loaded in. So what we've done here is we've added a combination of the attribute editor where we can enter data directly into PyAsset framework. And then in the lower section there, you can see that we have a PyVision display. And what that allows us to do is that we can use PyVision to determine when the coal unloading started and when it finished, and that will give us timestamps. And then you can see up the top, there's a little new button. We can click on that and that will open up a dialog where the operator can then enter the consignment note numbers, the starting and ending time of the trains, any other information that's relevant to that. Once that's submitted, PyAsset Framework then basically does a quick bit of arithmetic to say that, well, this is the totalizer at the start of the delivery, this was the total at the beginning of the delivery, take away from the start from the finish, and the difference gives you how much coal was unloaded. That value is then pushed off to a SQL database, and then that is used for various other uses. One of the big advantages that we had is that we recently transitioned over to a trade certified weigher on our coal delivery belt. And we've now shifted from nominal weights to actual delivered weights, and we've had significant savings since that was implemented. This also, now using PyNotification, sends off summaries of each unloaded train, not only to internal stakeholders at Stanwell, but also to external stakeholders such as the rail delivery company and the mine themselves. So, in summary, in addition to a fully featured digital shift log and handover system, Asset Intellect has addressed the paradigm of where is my data that has challenged industrial operations for years. Not only has it been a breath of fresh air, but more encouraging is our users are coming up with ideas on how it can be utilized in other parts of the business we didn't initially think of. Being able to contextually filter the view according to the asset hierarchy, thanks to PyAsset Framework, makes cutting out the noise so simple, giving the operator, engineer, or manager the ability to make data-driven decisions quickly. We have more projects in the pipeline for Asset Intellect in 2023. We hope to share at a later date. We've been working quite closely with Dimension Software and GTS Group to make those become a reality a lot sooner than we could ever have hoped to do that internally. So that is Stanwell Corporation's presentation on Asset Intellect. John, do we have any questions from the panel, from the audience?
Thank you, Karl. No, we have no questions that have come in from the audience, actually. Maybe we have. Question from John. What is the main reason you need Power BI? I assume you're on Windows, so not Googling to link the documents to Asset Intellect.
So we're using Power BI as was probably indicated with the other presenters. It's the presentation layer of Power BI is quite powerful. So we can pull data in from all sorts of places. We push a lot of Pi data out to a SQL database, which Power BI then uses to consume and produce all sorts of visualizations and dissecting of the data to produce it in such a way that is quite helpful. But being able to then link it within Asset Intellect, one of the things that Mark Faith mentioned earlier, I had quite a big smile when he said this, is that, you know, one of the biggest problems with Power BI is trying to find my Power BI report, but putting it in Asset Intellect just makes it so easy to find. Plus some of the presentation capabilities of native tools like Pi Vision is quite limited. So that's why we use Power BIs for those instances.
Excellent, thank you. And there is a second question from John. How hard was the Ellipse integration?
Quite simple, actually, because Ellipse is primarily an Oracle database. Any DBA who has some pretty good query building skills is just basically using that, and Asset Intellect allows you to parse those queries quite straightforward in a general editor.
Excellent, thank you. Question from Ben. What role does data governance play when handling manually entered data or confirming shift log events?
Yes, that's data governance has always been is something that's a little can be challenging. So we've done some basically some principles and guidelines to follow. Shift logging events, yes, that has always been something that's been quite challenging to handle. But one of the things that we've done is, because we're able to put in basically to denote systems and areas of plant, this has made things a lot easier to find. Yes, there is always the times where people will just sort of like choose the most the highest level, like common or miscellaneous or something like that. Fortunately, that doesn't happen very much at all. I suppose it's an education piece that needs to happen over time and maturity, and probably more the case is basically encouragement from peers to get these things reported on a more consistent basis, because it does affect everybody at the end of the day.